Hello, I'm Lara Kulcharsan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. Tension gripped Gaza over the weekend as the fragile ceasefire faced its toughest test yet. Israeli strikes hit what the military claims are Hamas positions, leaving many Palestinians dead and injured. Tel Aviv says the attacks were a response to ceasefire violations by Hamas. The group strongly denies the allegations and says it's abiding by the ceasefire. And while the truce appears to be holding for now, Gazans remain in desperate need of aid. Israel continues to block the opening of the Rafah crossing until all hostages are returned. Even with an agreed daily quota, only about half the promised aid trucks have made it into the enclave. Israeli restrictions on international aid organizations and interference from illegal settlers have made an already catastrophic situation even worse. Amid the turmoil, Gazans are facing more than just hunger and the fight to survive among the ruins. They're also living with deep psychological trauma. Thousands remain buried under rubble, and many bodies have been seized by Israel. Under the ceasefire, some of those bodies were returned, many showing signs of torture and execution. Gaza officials have accused the Israeli army of stealing organs from Palestinian corpses and are calling for an international investigation.
Even in death, Israel still holds Palestinians prisoners, and they show obvious signs of being tortured, executed, mutilated, and having their organs stolen. Some people still have zip ties on from when they were field executed. Others have been run over by tanks. Still others have cotton where their organs should be.
Israeli forces stole the internal organs of Palestinians before returning them back to their families. And with some of the largest skin and organ banks in the world, I wonder why Israel would be stealing internal organs. There is documented history going back decades that suggests that Israel has been stealing the organs of Palestinians specifically for organ trafficking. Allegations of illegal organ trafficking go back to the 90s and affect Palestinians and foreign workers within Israel. And this is even something the Israeli government has admitted to: unauthorized harvesting of internal organs without family approval. Back in December of 2009, Israel admitted that forensic pathologists at the state-run Abu Kabir Forensic Institute harvested organs including corneas, skin, heart valves, bones, all from deceased individuals that they did not have family consent from. And after October 7th, apparently the practice has resumed, as even Human Rights Monitor has raised concerns about potential organ theft. In the last 2 years, medical professionals have indicated that tampering with bodies has absolutely occurred, but it's impossible to tell whether or not their organs were stolen because so many of those bodies have been absolutely decimated. But still, multiple NGOs and health officials have called into internal investigations into the matter. Past precedent makes it an extremely credible possibility that Israel is harvesting the organs of slain Palestinians.
After nationwide No Kings rallies denouncing his leadership and policies, US President Donald Trump and accounts linked to him responded with AI art. Trump posted clips on Truth Social showing himself wearing a crown, flying a jet labeled King Trump in capital letters, and even dropping brown liquid onto people below. We didn't want to fully show that video on TV, but you can probably guess what happens next. Vice President J.D. Vance and the official White House account also joined in, posting images of Trump and Vance wearing crowns, captioned, "We're built different." The posts come after millions of Americans march across all 50 states on Saturday, protesting at what they say is a slide into authoritarianism. It's the second No Kings Coalition march, following the first in June, which was one of the largest protest days in US history. And by most accounts, turnout this weekend was even higher. Congressional Republicans had warned the demonstrations would be anti-American, and some conservative governors had law enforcement and the National Guard on alert. But in the end, the massive rallies were peaceful.
What would you say to Donald Trump if he was watching right here, right now?
Release the Epstein files. Get out of office immediately. You're not helping anyone. In fact, you're hurting the entire population. Immigrants are welcome here.
You need help, man. The people around you are taking advantage of you.
It's really hard, just one thing. Bring back democracy.
You're only fooling a small percentage of the population with your lies.
We all see through your lies. You're racist. There's no other words to say it, but you're racist.
Step down. Step down and do the right thing.
You need to just go. You know that. I mean, he's not well. And I don't want to be like this. He's ineffective, and you know you're ineffective.
Your days are numbered.
And what does that mean?
You're gonna be out soon. And even if you make it to your full term, history's not gonna be light to you. You're on the wrong side of history.
On the other side, Trump supporters say the protests missed a point and that the slogans can actually be flipped around. In one TikTok video, a self-described citizen journalist from the MAGA camp argues that no kings in America and no one is above the law prove the opposite of what protesters are saying.
I want to point out this shirt right here. It says, "No kings in America, no one is above the law." Well, if we had a king in America, we wouldn't be having this protest right now because the king could shut this protest down. And if we had a king in America, we wouldn't have a government shutdown because the king would just say, "To hell with you guys, we're doing what we want to do." But we can't do that because we don't have a king in America. And the best one is, no one is above the law. But we allowed over 10 million illegal immigrants to break into our country. They all broke the law. So are they all of a sudden above the law? No, no one is above the law. They broke the law, so they need to be held accountable for their actions and go back to their country and try to do it the legal way to come into America legally. But instead, Trump is trying to, clean up our country, and he is being, Trump for prison. These are the shirts that are being advertised right here, the No Kings protests, and all of them totally go against what's going on in America. We don't have kings, and illegal immigrants broke the law, so they need to go back.
The world's most visited museum, the Louvre, has been hit by a movie-style daylight heist. On Sunday, thieves broke into the Apollon Gallery, home to the French crown jewels.
It was in broad daylight and it took just 7 minutes. Here's how they did it. On the morning of October 19th, a team of approximately 3 to 4 thieves arrived at the Louvre just as it was opening up to visitors. Using a freight elevator attached to a truck, they scaled the museum walls and broke in via window. They then entered the Apollo Gallery, which houses the French crown jewels. It was likely a very experienced team of thieves who scouted out the museum well in advance. Among the missing items are jewels that belonged to Napoleon, as well as to Empress Marie-Louise also. There are thought to be 9 pieces that are currently missing from the collection. But how could this happen? The Louvre is among one of the most heavily guarded museums in the world. And this happened just 800 meters from police headquarters. So how does something like this happen? Well, frankly speaking, this is one of the most recent incidents in a wave of robberies that have been happening throughout museums in France, including gold stolen from the National Natural History Museum and artifacts stolen from the Musée Comnègue.
From stolen jewels to digital gold, the battle over art doesn't just happen in museums. The world's biggest music streaming app, Spotify, says it's teaming up with the major labels to use AI responsibly. The company says the goal is to build tools that put artists and songwriters first and actually respect copyright. It's partnering with the 3 big players, Sony Music, Universal, and Warner. Basically, the labels that control most of the music industry.
Spotify has just teamed up with every major label to build what they call Artist First AI tools. Well, Spotify is launching a brand new AI lab to develop responsible AI music. But this time, they're doing it with all the major labels, and they're promising 4 big things. First, they're saying that every tool that is going to be built is going to have the artist and labels in mind, and that the artist will have a choice to decide if or how their music is used through their AI tools. They are also promising fair pay, that if your song is trained or used with AI, you will be compensated for it. Yeah, they're just now saying this.
Copyright stays protected. They're working directly with the labels to make sure everything is licensed, credited, and paid for properly. However, how are they paying? How much? That's not out yet.
And they are promising connection over replacement, meaning they're saying that AI won't replace the artist and instead help them reach new fans in new ways. So if this actually works and it really follows through, this could be a new way for artists to get discovered and paid. But with everything that's happening with Spotify and AI music, one has to wonder.
Do you think AI will help or hurt the music industry? I personally think it can be used in good ways, but it has to be highly monitored because there's still a lot of gray areas and there's still a lot of unknown, and I kind of don't like this personally, but we're just gonna have to wait and see how many lawsuits will happen because of this. Just a matter of time.
On Monday, some of the world's biggest apps and websites just stopped working. Amazon, Snapchat, Roblox, Duolingo, and many more were all down or glitching. At the time of the recording, the cloud company behind much of the internet, Amazon Web Services, was figuring out what went wrong. And just last week, the UK government warned businesses to get ready for possible cyber attacks, and their advice might feel a little old school. Use pen and paper. Officials urged company heads to keep physical copies of their backup plans, just in case things go south. Paul has more.
Planes, trains, and automobiles? If it wasn't infrastructure, then it was UK retailers like Marks & Spencer, Harrods, and the Co-op, getting hacked by criminals, stealing data for money.
So the data from the National Cybersecurity Centre is a 50% increase in the highly significant attacks for the third year running. And I think the thing which really underscores that is this industrialisation effect. And this industrialisation effect, it really comes down to the fact that this has become both something that is economically advantageous for attackers to do.
In the year to September, nearly half of 429 cyber attack incidents were classed as having national significance. That's up 50% from the previous year. 18 were highly significant, which means they had a serious impact on the government, essential services, the mass population, or the economy.
The majority of adults are now fearful of being hacked. Ransomware is really the result of an industrialization of cyber attacks. So it means that attackers are not able to just achieve disruption to critical national infrastructure, but they're also able to extort their victims for financial gain.
The UK government's advice: have your plan B written down.
Having things like offline backups can often be a very effective way of making sure that essential business information isn't lost.
The government also recommends using old analogue tech, like facsimile or fax machines.
So the first thing, obviously, keeping offline backups, which can't be contaminated. Then also keeping software up to date. When it comes to passwords, the rule of thumb is longer is better. Enabling two-factor authentication on websites as well, so you get a code when you need to log in.
So the bottom line, be careful before you click.
California's startup Figure AI just dropped its newest creation, the Figure 3. It's a humanoid that can already handle most household chores on its own. So yeah, bringing robots into our homes might be closer than we think. But the real question is, are we ready?
This sounds like a sci-fi, but it might not be as far off as you think. It's basically an artificial intelligence in a body. Standing roughly 5'8", this latest model is promising when it comes to housework. The company claims it will eventually handle tasks like loading the dishwasher, folding laundry, clearing clutter, and more. Its fingertip sensors allow to adjust grip when holding an object, sensitive enough to detect light pressure. Its upgraded cameras come with higher frame rates and better depth perception for Figure's vision, allowing it to navigate complex spaces like stairs or tight corners. Also, you can talk, ask, and delegate tasks. The Figure 3 would understand and take action. Yet already, its previous model, Figure 2, is working in the production chain at some BMW factories. But having a humanoid in your household is a different level. There are deeper risks. What if the robot makes a wrong decision? Unlike a chatbot that can talk nonsense, a human-sized robot interacting physically with us in our home has much greater stakes. Would you feel comfortable sharing your home with a humanoid?
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.